up, gorgeous? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, feel free to say hi in the comments below. If you're not new, as always, welcome back. If you're not new, well, whether you're new or not, what you guys would normally be seeing are my hands. but hi, it's me. I don't normally hop on video. Well, I used to before I started doing readings, but I normally just show my hands and my cards, obviously, as most of you know. So this was a video that I felt a need to do. I thought it would be different as well, because I get so many questions on this channel, and I actually get a lot of questions in my email as well. And I figured, why not just make a video and answer all those questions? So I have them here. And they range from everything from like, why do I put certain cards back? Or what does it mean if multiple cards come out that are the same? Or what is it like talking to my spirit guides? Which is actually a really big question. So I'm gonna start there. So a lot of you ask me, when I say things like, well, I'll get to the spirit guide in a second. Let me first talk about some of the things that I say. So when I say things in my readings, you'll hear me sometimes say, I keep seeing a blah, 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 right? So let's say, I don't know, I keep seeing a beach. I keep seeing a something. Obviously, I'm not sitting in my office seeing a beach, right? But certain things will come through where it makes you question, it makes you wonder, like, well, what is she seeing? And I've had this question a lot. So when I say that I'm seeing something, I'm not actually physically seeing it right in front of my face. I'm also not, now here's the thing. I have friends that are mediums, and I know that many times they will see things and spirits and energetic presence right in front of their face. And I don't see that on purpose. I don't want to. I don't want to see anything. I'd rather see it where I normally see it, which, to answer your question, is in my mind's eye. So, which is your third eye. So for example, close your eyes right now, okay? Close your eyes and imagine a red apple. Okay, so you should see at this point a red apple, although I do know that there are some people in this world that cannot actually see anything when they try to imagine stuff. I just recently learned about that, actually. I thought everybody could. Apparently you can't. But close your eyes, imagine a red apple. Most of you will be able to see it, okay? It's that type of image that I get when I'm doing my readings, and it'll happen out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. You've heard me many times say, I could be talking, in the middle of talking, I'll say blah, 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 blah. Oh wait, here's something. It's so fast, so fast. So that's what I mean when I say I'm seeing something. It's in my mind's eye. It's through my third eye. Okay, so it's just like when you close your eyes and you imagine something. That's what it's like. Another question that I get all the time is, what is it like to talk to my spirit guides? Now, it's chaotic sometimes. Well, here's the thing with this. I've said this a few times in readings before. When I talk to my guides, or when I hear my guides, should I say, when I hear my guides, they come in very, very soft. It's very subtle. It's not something where you hear them screaming or anything like that. If I end up saying something like they're yapping, right? They're talking nonstop. It's me hearing a bunch of like humming and high-pitched noises, very subtly though. But it's enough to make you want to like rip your hair out. So when I say like, spirit, please calm down for a second, that's what I mean. It's not that I literally hear somebody saying like, Jessica. It's not like that. I don't even know what I would do if I heard that. There's no way. But anyway, the reason I'm able to hear my guides and spirit and whoever else wants to come through is because I have something called clairaudience. And it's one of the clair psychic gifts, okay? And by the way, we all have these gifts. I don't care what anybody says. We all have the clair senses, as they call them. But most people won't ever be able to harness them because they don't realize actually that that's what that is a lot of times. And also other people don't believe in it, so they won't even go down that path of trying to, you know, process how to harness them. So out of all the 4 clairs, like the main ones, right? There's clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience, and clairaudience, right? Those are like the main ones. There's many more. Clairaudience, also known as psychic hearing, that's probably my strongest one. I do have clairvoyance, and it's not something where I could say, yes, I'm a clairvoyant, right? I know people that are very, very highly skilled in it. That's their strongest clair. Mine is definitely clairaudience. And so it's psychic hearing. And what happens when I'm doing a reading is they'll come in out of nowhere. I can't control it. The most that I can do is ask them at the beginning of a reading, hey, give me your help, right? Like, you guys have heard me, like, spirit, please come through, blah, 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 whatever. Please help me to understand all those things. And I can't control when they want to come through in a reading. Like, I just did a reading yesterday where it was, oh my God, they wouldn't shut up. Like, I was just like, can we calm down? Like, I could not finish a sentence without another scenario being brought through. And it was like, I mean, it was wonderful, but also at the same time, sometimes I just want to get my point across, especially because I have ADHD. And it's like, if I don't get these words out, I'm never going to get them out because I will have moved on to 25 other things in the middle of my last word before I can even finish it. That's how my mind works. So when they come in, sometimes they'll speak to me with an image, right? Clairvoyantly. So I'll see it in my mind's eye, or I'll be looking at the cards and I'll see, I'll hear them say something. And sometimes it's a lot of times for me, they'll put the phrase or the word in my head. So sometimes when I actually hear them, like speaking, it's a male's voice. I always hear a male. I don't know who the hell he is, but I hear a male. And when it's not him speaking, then it's in my own voice in my head, but I know it's not from me. It took me a really, really long time. And I think this is probably why a lot of people struggle when they realize that they're clairvoyant, they realize they're clairaudient, because it's very difficult initially to decipher what are my thoughts and what are the ones that are coming in from spirit. That's a big, I still sometimes struggle, but I know after every reading that I do, personal readings, when people come back to me and they're like, oh my God, you were right about this, this, and this, and then you said something that nobody else would know. I know that it wasn't for me. It couldn't have been for me. I don't know this person. So when this happens, it's wild, but they'll come in, and there's definitely more than one. But the main one is a male. And like I said, I will sometimes get images from my guides, and I'll see it in my head, and then that'll remind me of something. It's very, very subtle. And another thing too, because I get this question a lot as well, is like, you know, do you talk to them on a daily basis? What is it like, right? Because it's not many people will be cooking in their kitchen and start to hear things in their head, or at the very least, they'll think they're going crazy. But hear voices saying things, these little nudges. And you guys, if you pay attention, you will hear, and you will start to focus on the little niggles from your guides. They're always there. They're always there. It's just a matter of kind of turning on the station, right? Think of it like a radio. There's the AM, there's FM, right? Imagine that we are in the FM radio and your guides are on the frequency of the AM radio, right? Well, when you are switching the knob to get to whatever station and you accidentally overlap it, imagine it like that. It's in that moment where you're both on the same frequency. And that's when you can hear, and that's when they can come through for you. That's how I always look at it. And okay, see right now, oh man, you guys never get to see this. You only just see my hands. Right now, as I said, that's how I look at it. I just saw in my head the energy of one of my guides going like this, like yes, 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 and like smiling. But that's how I look at it. Well, thank you. So another thing too is they're very funny. Now, I don't talk to other people necessarily that are in constant contact with their guides or anything like that, but mine are very funny. They're very much like me. They're very blunt. They don't take no bullshit. They're very much like me. They definitely have a sense of humor. They don't stop till they get their point across. And no matter what I want to do, if I want to talk about something else, like today I got one, okay? And for her specific reading, during the reading, I started getting really like shortness in my chest. I was getting shortness of breath, and I felt very heavy with my breathing. And you know, that is one of my senses, I guess, but it doesn't happen all the time. And I know that when it does, it's something. I don't know how it happens. When I wish I could tell you, I have Googled, I have tried so many different ways to find out why I'm able to do what I can do. And all I know is that I'm supposed to do it. That's it. But for this specific reading, I felt very short of breath, and I was like, oh, I gotta stop for a second. You know, that's only happened a handful of times. And she just emailed me today. She's probably watching this right now. Hi, I got your email. She emailed me today and she said, oh, and by the way, because, you know, you mentioned about the breathing thing, about you having issues, I actually have to monitor my breathing because of my anxiety stuff. It's something, you know, I have to pay attention to my breathing. I was like, now this is a complete stranger. Out of how many people in this world, how would I have known that? Right? And then she confirms it. You guys, I get emails all the time from you where you confirm so many things that I've said, and I am not joking. It still to this day does not go over my head as though it's normal. Like, oh, cool, yeah, okay, yeah, it was confirmed. No, every single time I get an email from you after a personal reading and you're like, oh my God, you were dead on. Everything resonated. This is wild. You knew my exact story, and all I did was ask one question. I didn't tell you anything. And I'll read it, and I'll look at it, and I'll be like, how? And I'll put my phone down, and I'll be like, Spirit, how? How do I do this? I don't know. I don't know. I wish I had answers for that, but I don't know. And as far as how the cards work and how they flip, I always tell people it feels like when they come out, it almost feels like my guides are here right next to me and just kind of whoosh, right in with their energy when they want a certain card to come out. I don't know. And then another question that I got was, how do I know which, since the cards have a lot of different meanings in each card and there's tons of them, how do I know which meaning to pick? And honestly, it's an intuitive thing. It's just an intuitive thing. It's, you know, sometimes my guides will keep pointing me, like they will, I'm not joking. It almost feels like somebody is forcing me to look in a certain direction of one of the decks or one of the cards that are already on the table. And they'll be like, you need to focus on that. But they don't say it, but I know, like I could feel their energy. I can feel what they're saying and the energy behind it. I know that if I am all of a sudden staring at a certain card or a certain deck that I haven't used, I just know they want me to use it or they want me to pay attention to that card. It's a knowing. It's just that's claircognizance, by the way. That's one of the clairs. It is just this knowing. And it happens all the time. So anyway, that was another question. Another question was, why do I put back certain cards? Sometimes you'll see me do, you know, oh, one card only, right? You guys hear me say this all the time, one card only, and then I get pissed off when there's like multiple cards. But I always say like one card only because that's all I want. Because if I get any more than one card, like, again, ADHD, spirits in my ear, shit's going on, like, I need one card only, please. Okay, speak to me like I'm 5. I need one card only, otherwise I will give you 10 different stories and I don't have time for that. So the reason that I take certain cards, again, it's an intuitive thing. Sometimes, for example, sometimes if 2 cards come out, right, and they flip out like that, okay, just like this, then I know that they were there for a reason, that I'm supposed to take them together. If you see, and sometimes I cut this out in my editing, but sometimes the cards will flip out like this, and then one will come out on the desk. I only take the one that came out upright. If there's more than one card, if there's more than 2 and they come out like this, I'll look instantly and I'll just know. I'll just know whether to take them or not. It has nothing to do with picking and choosing. Like, I don't choose anything. I don't want to do that. I don't, you know, that's not a reading to me. You know, I'm being led, I'm not leading. So that's how that works. It's very intuitive, but also at the same time, going back to how my guides direct me in a way, through their energy and telepathically, I just get this nudge from them where I just know, like, do I take it? Do I leave it? And it happens so fast, so fast. Same with how they speak and how they come through. Sometimes I'll do a reading, a personal reading, and my client will hear me laughing like a crazy person. I probably sound psychotic, but sometimes I'll just giggle and I'll laugh because my guides, in the middle of me talking, they'll say something really funny that has to do with the person that I'm reading. And it's a lot because my guides they don't play, okay? They're funny, but they're not there to play. They're there to give you and me the truth, right? Whatever that truth is in that moment. So they're not there to play. If they say something to me about the person that I'm reading, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be about something that the person already knows, and it's probably a flaw that they need to work on. And I have to, unfortunately, be the messenger. And a lot of times I ignore them and they know, because then you'll see me do 10 other decks and they'll keep giving me that same damn message that I wanted to keep quiet about from the beginning, like how that person's lazy. I don't want to tell a client that they're lazy. I want somebody to come back to me. I don't want people thinking that I'm calling them out, but my guides will call you out and they use me to do it. So if I don't say it right away, that's when you'll see certain cards come out at the same time, like in different decks, all the same types. And you'll know, you just know that they have a message that they want to get across that Jessica has been very quiet about, but they don't care. They're like, I don't care if people hate you. You got to say what we need you to say. And that's it. So they don't play. They don't play around, but they are very funny. They are very blunt. And sometimes they surprise me. You know, sometimes they surprise me with their advice for people, especially when I get questions, and I get this a lot in personal readings, people that are dealing with a love situation, and maybe there's a third party, or maybe they are the third party. And in my mind, I mean, I don't judge, I don't do anything, right? But in my mind, I'm thinking like, you know, maybe Spirit's gonna say, you know, focus on your marriage, stop, don't step off, you know what I mean? Like, don't step out on your marriage, right? All these things. And I'm thinking like the morally right thing to do. And then my guides come in and they're like, well, actually, I'm like, wait, what? Like, so sometimes they'll say, you know, focus on your marriage, stop it, this is worth it. You're going through a phase right now, whatever it is. But then other times they'll surprise the hell out of me and be like, no, you're thinking the right thing about leaving this person. And I'm just like, what? Like, it's mind-blowing. So yeah. Other than that, you guys, this is something that, you know, somebody asked me once, actually a few of you, I don't even know why I said that. A few of you have asked me like how I got started in this, and I have been reading cards since I was 14. And I just turned 41 in September. So the last day, so let's not make me any older, but so I've been doing this for a long time. I just haven't done it publicly. I've done it for friends, you know, since I was little, but I've always just done it mostly for myself. And then I had something pretty traumatic happen to me in the last couple of years, and something switched. That event caused me to all of a sudden break out my deck of cards again and turn to them for advice and guidance, right? And then not even realizing while doing that, all of a sudden I started to physically hear my guides. And I guess I was always turned off to them, or I turned the knob off. I wasn't tuned in, should I say. And I started to physically hear my guides, and then it never stopped. And because of that traumatic experience that I had, and it was only in the last few years, because of that traumatic experience that I had, it led me to what you see now. And I have done hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds, probably even in the thousands now, of personal readings. And I have a 95% plus accuracy rate. And to this day, I still don't know how. I don't know how. I wish I could tell you, but also at the same time, I think it's cool that I can't tell you, because I know that it's something bigger. And it all stemmed, you know, from that traumatic experience. I've had stuff my whole life. Since I was like 3 years old, I've had prophetic dreams. I've always had prophetic dreams. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of things that I have seen in my dreams and predicted and everything else. So there's my clairvoyance, right? There's my clairvoyant ability, but I never worked with it. I never took the time to really, because I think a lot of people, they don't trust it. That's probably the biggest thing that keeps people from moving forward with their gifts. They don't trust that they could have gifts. They don't trust that they're even real, or like I said, with clairaudience, you know, is what I'm hearing me, or is it my guides? What is that, right? But you start to realize after a while, again, I realized very quickly, okay, no, that's not me. That's not me. Like, I know I can differentiate now between the two. I have to, otherwise I won't be able to do a reading. But I've always had that. But, you know, people ask me too, you know, how do you know? How do I know if I have a gift? Well, let's use clairaudience, for example, right? If I look back over my life thus far, over the last 41 years, I can tell now how I was, how I've always had this gift, and how there's so many things in my life that should have told me sooner. So for example, with clairaudience, again, it's psychic hearing. You might find that you're very good at picking up musical notes, right? For whatever reason, when I was younger, I can't read music for the life of me, but I could play by ear. I could play keyboard by ear. I could play the drums. I could play music by ear. I could also sing. And I could stay on key very well. When I listen to music all my life, certain songs from the time I was very, very, very young would make me very emotionally affected. When I was like 4 years old, to this day I still can't listen to the song. When I was 4 years old, Somewhere Over the Rainbow would make me cry hysterical. And as an adult to this day, the second I hear the first few notes, I get all choked up. I can't, there's something about the key in that, whatever that key, there's something about music for people that are clairaudient, that they can tune in to the deeper frequencies in that music, and it will affect them on a much greater scale than maybe somebody else that doesn't have you know, a strong grasp on a clairaudience gift, right? So that's something else too. You might hear things when it's very, very quiet. It's almost like, it's like you have this, like this hearing of like an animal, right? I always look at my dog, like, you know, dogs have amazing hearing. It's like you have that. You might find yourself just in a silent house, right? And doing something else, and you can hear things going on that you shouldn't be hearing. You can hear things that most other people couldn't hear necessarily. I'm even listening to this music right now, and I could break apart every single beat, and I could tell you what they use, and it's a certain thing, but it has to do with hearing. You might hear ringing in your ears a lot. You might hear high-pitched noises or like a humming. A lot of people sometimes just associate that with like, oh, something's up with my ears. But a lot of times that's your spirit guides around. A lot of times. When you hear that, if you are somebody like that, when you hear that, stop and look at the time when that happens. See what time it is. See if there's an angel number going on, like 222, 555. And then also speak. Ask out loud, like, hey, if you're not scared. Some people are scared. But ask out loud, you know, are one of my guides here? Is there something that I need to know? And then just sit there for a minute. Again, if it doesn't scare you, sit there for a minute, and you may even want to close your eyes and see if you see an image, right? They may send you an image. They may send you a gut feeling to do something, to look at something, to walk somewhere in the house and stare at something. Put the patterns together, put the pieces together, and you'll see the patterns. That's what I meant. Put the pieces together and you'll see the patterns. Another thing with clairaudience, you might find that you are somebody that talks to yourself a lot. I'm like that. I've been like that since the time I was born. That's a big, big thing with somebody who's clairaudient. It's all about the hearing, anything that involves speaking, hearing. It's those types of things. If you had imaginary friends when you were little, that could very well be your clairaudient ability. It could also be your clairvoyant ability too, but it could be your clairaudient ability where if you hear them, or if you did hear them, you're obviously not gonna have imaginary friends now, but if you did hear them when you were younger, I know when I was little, I had 2 imaginary friends and I saw them. They were there. And they were named Amy and Joey. Well, I have no idea, but they were named Amy and Joey. And there's a memory that my mom has where I think she almost sat on them once, like on the couch, and I like lost my shit. Like I started screaming, crying, like, oh my God. And I was like, I don't know, like 5 or 6, but I have recordings as well of me when I lived back in Brooklyn. I must have been like 7. And, we had this little hallway that separated the 3rd floor of my grandparents' house, and then the 1st and the 2nd floor of my house. And I would sit in that little hallway in the dark. I don't know how I did that in the dark, because as an adult, and maybe because I know a lot more now about the spirit world and everything else, but as an adult, I'm terrified of the dark. I'm terrified. So I don't know how I did that, but I remember very vividly, I would do this practically every day. I had this little tape recorder, and it had a little microphone. and I would just do little interviews with whoever I heard, and I heard them all the time. And I would do these little interviews, and then I would just make up these, and I would just talk and talk and talk. And so if you have memories like that, that might be, that may have been something, again, talking, hearing, has lots to do with clairaudience. I think for any of the senses, you might be very creative and very, very imaginative. Those thoughts and those pictures and those ideas, they don't come out of thin air, you know? A lot of times it's your guides. A lot of times it's your higher self nudging you like, hey, if you're an artist, for example, like maybe you should draw this because this is going to make you a lot of money. Do this, right? And you just keep feeling it and feeling it. That's not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences anyway, but the point is people that are in tune with their senses a lot of times are very creative. So these are just some of the things, but I think the biggest one for me is probably hearing the voices. And sometimes people won't even hear voices. Sometimes people with clairaudience can instead, they'll be in the house and maybe you'll hear like a bang, or you might hear footsteps a lot of times. You're not just hearing that. You're not making it up. Hopefully not. But the biggest thing for me, I would say, is the music. For whatever reason, whether it's live or on the radio, there are certain songs that just come on that instantly hit me. And I start crying. And they don't even have to be sad songs. It happens to be the melody or the key that it's in. There's something about certain notes that resonate with my energetic makeup. And just remember, we are all energy. And it really, really affects me. And I think once I started looking further into clairaudience and everything else, and I saw that was a big one, then I knew. I was like, well, I mean, I should have known with hearing things, but hearing guys, but yeah, it was the music thing for me, and it still is, and it will always be, always. So yeah, so those are some of the questions that I have received from you guys, and I receive them all the time. And I love when I get your questions. It's fun. It's, you know, I'm always talking, and all you see is my hands and my cards, and you know, it's nice to kind of pop on here and say hi every once in a while, which I'll be doing actually more, by the way, because I have other stuff that I want to do. So, but either way, thank you for sticking around with me. And I hope that I was able to answer your questions as best that I could. And other than that, as always, please be well, stay safe, and take care.